You're watching the Florida Channel, a public service of the Florida Legislature, WFSU-TV, and Florida State University.
Supreme Court of Florida is now in ceremonial session. All who have cause to plead, draw near, give attention. You shall be heard. God save these United States, the great state of Florida, and its honorable court. Ladies and gentlemen, Supreme Court of Florida, please be seated.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's my great privilege on behalf of my colleagues on the Florida Supreme Court to welcome you to this special session of the Florida Supreme Court. We gather here today for one of the most important events in our court's annual calendar. We join together to honor the women and men of our profession who volunteer their legal skills to help those who otherwise might not have access to justice. This year is a special occasion because it marks the 30th anniversary of the Tobias Simon Pro Bono Service Award. Mr. Simon's legacy included providing advice to countless numbers of pro bono clients, representing the unpopular and oppressed members of our society, and teaching this same ethic to scores of students. All of you can get a better understanding of the breadth of that legacy by looking at the Tobias Simon memorabilia on display in our rotunda today, items which are on loan to us thanks to Mr. Simon's family. And we are indeed privileged today to have in attendance with us a large number of Mr. Simon's family. I would like to recognize all of the members of the family who are here today. When I have finished reading all of your names, I will then ask you all to stand together and be recognized along with any family members I may have overlooked. Jennifer Hurst, Mr. Simon's wife, is with us, along with Roberta Simon, Trudy Simon, Brady Doyle, Carl Simon, Rita Simon, Virginia Rosen, Barbara Jonas, Fred Jonas, Roy Jonas, Valerie Jonas, and Danny Jonas. Would you all please stand and be recognized? We are all deeply honored that you are here with us on this 30th anniversary occasion. Thank you very much. Our state's pro bono efforts take inspiration both from Tobias Simon's memory and from an express provision of our Constitution that guarantees access to the courts for redress of any injury. Moreover, for more than a century and a half, this court has recognized that the practice of law is a privilege that carries with it certain responsibilities and obligations. By taking the oath of admission to the Florida bar, every lawyer swears, "I will never reject, from any consideration personal to myself, the cause of the defenseless or the oppressed." The first year in which pro bono hours were compiled, 1993-94, showed that attorneys statewide donated about 800,000 hours of free service to people in need of legal services. In the 2010-11 reporting period, that number has risen to more than 1.6 million hours. Florida lawyers have donated many millions of hours to other kinds of volunteerism, including religious, charitable, and civic work. I think I can safely say that no profession gives more freely and unselfishly of its services than does the legal profession. And I think we can all be proud of the efforts that our profession has made to serve the people of our communities. Now, all of this work is deserving of public recognition, which is the reason we are here today. Before recognizing specific individuals or groups, I think it is entirely appropriate that we all join in a round of applause for the many thousands of members of the Florida Bar who have recognized their responsibility and discharged it with such unselfishness. We also have a group with us that has been instrumental over the last 18 months in increasing the bench and bar's emphasis on pro bono work through the One Florida campaign. So at this time, I would like to ask the members of the Florida Bar Standing Committee on Pro Bono Service to please rise and be recognized. We are very grateful to you all for your service, which is in this program that I think has been quite effective and of which we can all be very proud. The Chief Justice Advisory Committee had the very difficult task of making recommendations from a long list of nominees, all of whom are deserving of recognition. In the opinion of the committee, those who are being honored today are simply the most deserving among many deserving people. Though the committee's task was not an easy one, I fully concur in its recommendations. And I would like to recognize the members of the advisory committee and thank them for their work in selecting today's award winners. When I finished reading the names of the members of the advisory committee, I then asked that those in attendance stand and be recognized. The chair of the committee is Mayanne Downs. The members are Edmund Baxa, Senator Bud Gardner, Susan Healy, C. Sharon James, Robert Kerrigan, Victoria Mendez, Judge Ashley Moody, Catherine Parra, Susan Steinberg-Sandler, Judge Susan Sexton, Twyla Sketchley, Lena Smith, and Daniel Thompson. Would you please all who are here rise and be recognized? Again, we thank you very much for your service. Now, at this time, I would like to recognize the past recipients of the Tobias Simon Pro Bono Service Award. I want to recognize you individually. I will read the names of all the award winners, and I will ask that those in attendance to then stand together and be recognized. I believe we have with us today Ira J. Kurzban, Judge Philip John Padovano, Neil Chonin, William J. Shepard, Roderick Norman Petrie, Stephen Lauren Seliger, Judge Leon Blakely Cheek III, Richard Craig Milstein, Judge Vance Edwin Salter, Gerald Israel Kornreich, Edward M. Waller, Talbot Sandy Dellenbert, Sylvia Walbolt, and Robert G. Kerrigan. So if you are here, please rise and be recognized. We are very honored that you are with us here today. We would also like to honor the members of the Florida Pro Bono Coordinators Association who do important work in advancing the cause that we're here to celebrate. With all of you who are involved in the Florida Pro Bono Coordinators Association, please stand. We thank you for the work that all of you do. Now we turn to this year's awards. In the year 2005, the court added an award to recognize a state court judge for work toward improving the administration of justice as it relates to pro bono work by lawyers. Specifically, this award honors the judge whose work best exemplifies the aspirational goal described in the commentary to Canon 4B of the Code of Judicial Conduct. The commentary says, support of pro bono legal services by members of the bench is an activity that relates to improvement of the administration of justice. In keeping with the aspiration that we as judges collectively share, it is my privilege and honor to announce this year's recipient of Florida's Distinguished Judicial Service Award. This award goes to Judge James M. Barton II of the 13th Judicial Circuit. Judge Barton has contributed over 1,000 hours to pro bono efforts since joining the bench in 1991. From 1993 to 2010, he also served as chair of the 13th Judicial Circuit Pro Bono Committee and is a past chair and a current member of the Florida Bar's Standing Committee on Pro Bono Legal Services. In 2010, Judge Barton helped launch the One Florida campaign, which, as you know, is designed to recruit new pro bono attorneys and to support pro bono projects. Judge Barton truly is a shining example of public service and of the goals set by Canon 4B. The court now recognizes Judge James Barton to approach the bench and receive the award and shake the hands of the justices and proceed to the podium for remarks.
Let me begin what I'm going to tell you briefly this afternoon with one word. And that word is one. In our context, one means, as former Chief Justice Quince so eloquently put it in the one video, one client, one attorney, one promise. That's what's going on right now in the state of Florida and every judicial circuit in this state. And as I'm up here today and knowing that I don't deserve this award, it finally came to me that I could accept this award because of not only what is going on now, but what you all know far better than I has gone on in this state to show the rest of this country what a pioneer the state of Florida is in this area. As Chief Justice Kennedy already related to you back in the 90s, this court was a pioneer in developing, in what I call the pro bono trilogy of cases, the framework that got us where we are today, and that framework has been replicated in other states in this country. Other pioneers that have influenced me just like they influence you, William Reese Smith, and many others that set the stage for what has been going on in Florida. Now that brings us up to the present, and what's going on. And I just see so many incredible things going on in this area, which we not only have an economic crisis in this country, there's a pro bono legal services crisis. And Florida lawyers and judges are stepping up to the plate. Just look at what's going on at the standing committee level, where thankfully we have co-chairs Corey Lopez Castro and Judge Van Norwick, the first recipient of the award that I'm getting, leading the charge in helping local pro bono programs provide legal service to the poor. We have the pro bono professionals, Kent Spooler, and then at our level, Richard Wopman, who are doing just some tremendous things. We still have in our area, and you heard two of the former Tobias Simon Award winners today, Sylvia Walboat and Ed Waller, still fighting the fight to get done what needs to be done in this area. So I am very grateful and thankful for what's going on. And what about the future? Well, I won't say there's a Hillsborough County coup going on, but if you look at what's about to happen, we have Wynn Young about to be president of the Florida Bar, Paige Greenlee about to be president of the Young Lawyers section of the Florida Bar. We have Ron Ficarota, who is chair of the Conference of Circuit Court Judges. So there's a lot going on in the state that people that I know very well from Hillsborough County are a large part of, and a large part of what they have done and will be doing is what's going to be happening in this pro bono field that we in this room know is so important. Let me say two last things in closing. One is, none of us could do what we do either in our normal profession or in what we do for clients and folks that can't afford legal services without the support of our family. And my family is here in force. My wife, Sherry, my daughter, Erica, her friend, Xavier, and my son is here in spirit. He's actually back in Tampa working. What a concept. We like that. We like that a lot. And so I'm grateful for their support. And talking about my kids, I saw the future of our profession yesterday in Orlando at the Chester Bedell mock trial competition at the meeting of the trial lawyers section of the Florida Bar. And I saw those kids, Judge Moody from our circuit, they look as young as you do. And they're actually younger in age than you are. And I am so hopeful. I saw what a tremendous skill level they already have and what great trial lawyers they're going to be. But it's up to us to teach them that being a great lawyer not only involves what you do in the courtroom and represent your paying clients, but in pursuing our system of justice by providing legal services to those that can't afford it. So again, thank you for letting me be a part of this ceremony, and I look forward to hearing from the rest of our people today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We are also here today to recognize a law firm for distinguished pro bono contributions. This is a special honor because this award is not given every year, but only when an especially deserving firm is nominated. This year, we honor the Gainesville law firm of Fisher, Butts, Sechrist, Warner, and Palmer, PA. The firm's pro bono work began many years ago as a result of its involvement with the Young Lawyers Division's work with Three Rivers Legal Services. Three Rivers often called upon the firm to assist less fortunate or elderly clients who had been the victims of fraud. The firm also has helped in a variety of other areas such as employment law, foreclosure defense, unfair and deceptive trade practices, property damage, and personal injury. The court is now pleased to recognize Robert P. Butts to approach the bench on behalf of the firm and receive the award, shake the hands of the justices, and proceed to the podium for remarks. Congratulations.
May it please the court. Chief Justice Kennedy, Supreme Court Justices, it is with deep humility and honor that I'm able to stand here before you, and that my partners and I, Mike Seacrest, who's here today, Mark Fisher and Mark Warner, who could not be here, it is with deep honor that we accept this award. Richard Stearns wrote a book recently called A Hole in Our Gospel. And the hole that Mr. Stearns wrote about is the indifference that it is so easy for us to have as it pertains to people in other parts of our world that do not have a voice. Danny Werfel, Heisman Trophy winner, speaks of this when he talks about the young people who he helps in Atlanta, New Orleans. We are so proud at our law firm to be members of the Florida Bar, where its members helped, gave over 1 million hours of free legal services to those who don't have a voice. We're also very, very thankful for Marcy Green and Three Rivers Legal Services in Alachua County, who sends to us these clients these wonderful and remarkable people that gives us the opportunity to be of service to them. We are so grateful for this. It's certainly unexpected. We thank the selection committee, and we are hopeful to be able to continue this work. We are most thankful and grateful to be members of this Florida Bar so that we can continue in these regards. Thank you so much.
Each year, the court also recognizes a voluntary bar association for its outstanding pro bono contributions. This year, our winner is the St. Lucie County Bar Association. During the last 2 years alone, the association has, through its members, given hundreds of volunteer hours to more than 300 clients referred by Florida Legal Services, while also taking cases on its own. When the economy took a downturn, the association appointed a pro bono liaison to work directly with Florida Rural Legal Services in placing cases and planning other events. The association's accomplishments are fairly summarized in its mission statement, which is to provide the public access to all state and federal courts on Florida's Treasure Coast and to provide access to some of the finest attorneys in the country. The court will now recognize the president of the St. Lucie County Bar Association, Jennifer Rebecca Kutzler, to approach the bench and receive the award, shake the hands of the justices, and proceed to the podium for remarks.
I'm very proud of my bar association. We are a small legal community. We actually only have 132 members in our association. But despite that, as you heard, over the last 2 years, we've managed to provide assistance to 300 people in our community who were in need of representation. There are many people who have assisted us in our efforts to help the community, but I'd like to especially thank Jim Walker, who is our past president. He made it a priority for our association he made pro bono work, a priority for our association. Carolyn Fabrizio from Florida Rural Legal Services, and also Dan Harrell, who's our pro bono committee chairman. Norm Paxton is actually the winner of the 19th Judicial Circuit Award this year. His son is here because the award is posthumous for Norm. Norm is actually an excellent example of our association's commitment to pro bono work. Norm devoted many hours every year to help those in our community that were unable to afford legal counsel, never seeking recognition for this public service. Thank you again for this award. Our organization will continue our efforts to serve our community in the same spirit that Norm Paxton gave his time. Thank you.
It's now my privilege to ask Scott G. Hawkins, President of the Florida Bar, to present the Florida Bar President's Pro Bono Service Awards, and then to introduce the President of the Bar's Young Lawyers Division for further remarks. President Hawkins.
Chief Justice Candidate, members of the court, may it please the court. First, congratulations to President Kusler, Mr. Butts, and Judge Barton. Justices, members of the Florida Bar, special guests, families, and friends of our distinguished honorees, it is an honor and a privilege for me to participate in this ceremony. On behalf of President-elect Gwen Young, President-elect designate Gene Pettis, all members of the Florida Bar Board of Governors, and the more than 93,000 members of the Florida Bar, I would like to congratulate and thank all of the award recipients. Today is a very special day, not only for everyone in this courtroom, but also for the many thousands of Floridians who have received legal assistance through the volunteer efforts and direct pro bono service of lawyers. I am extremely proud to say that during 2010-2011 fiscal year, Florida lawyers contributed more than $4.8 million to legal aid and over 1.6 million hours of pro bono service. Please give a round of applause to signify this achievement. That's $4.8 million and 1.6 million hours. Quite an accomplishment. Florida lawyers are truly committed to making a difference in their communities. Here are just a few examples of the extraordinary contributions made by some of today's Florida Bar President's Pro Bono Service Award recipients. A sole practitioner in a small town, a mostly rural circuit, regularly volunteers at pro se divorce clinics and drafts advanced directives for indigent clients. A retired sole practitioner travels on the Miami Metro, quite a service, twice a week to utilize his expertise to evaluate low-income clients' needs and refer them to an appropriate pro bono attorney. A general counsel to the local clerk of court who is bilingual sees pro bono service as a life priority and volunteers regularly at the local Hispanic Outreach Center, leading workshops on tenant rights, landlord obligations, and family matters. Another award recipient often accepts complicated pro bono family law custody cases. Very important. With multiple siblings living in different homes and counties. In addition, several of today's award recipients have spent many hours as volunteers in foreclosure and bankruptcy clinics this past year, as so many Floridians have struggled with our difficult economy. Other pro bono service by these individuals includes serving as attorneys ad litem and guardians ad litem, coordinating fundraising events and volunteer drives for local legal aid programs, and assisting on free legal hotlines in legal aid clinics and in community improvement programs. I want to thank again the honorees for their distinguished service and to commend their families and friends and colleagues for the support given to each honoree. I now ask each of the recipients of the Florida Bar President's Pro Bono Service Award to come forward to receive their certificate when I call each person by name. For the First Circuit, the recipient of the Florida Bar President's Pro Bono Award is Mr. Charles Hoskin, who unfortunately is unable to be with us today, but we wanted to mention his name. From the Second Circuit, Wendy LaQuasto. Congratulations. For the Third Circuit, Lynette McMillan Frederickson. For the Fourth Circuit, Suzanne Judas. For the Fifth Circuit, Sandra Day. For the Sixth Circuit, Miriam Izari. For the Seventh Circuit, James Kowalski. For the Eighth Circuit, Leslie Smith Haswell. I see a note that she's unable to be with us today. For the Ninth Circuit, Mr. Edmund Baxa. For the 10th Circuit, Deborah Wells. For the 11th Circuit, James Pollock. Thank you. For the 12th Circuit, Arthur Ginsburg. For the 13th Circuit, Adrian Stan Musial. For the 14th Circuit, Michael Dickey. For the 15th Circuit, Stephen Cripps. For the 16th Circuit, Thomas Woods. For the 17th Circuit, Elizabeth Doherty. For the 18th Circuit, James Torres. For the 19th Circuit, Norman Paxton. For the 20th Circuit, Daniel Indesrow. And for our all out-of-state lawyers, Melissa Makowitz. I ask the audience to please join me in a final round of applause for these awardees. Well done. You may be seated. It's now my pleasure to call President Sean Desmond, President of the Young Lawyers Division of the Florida Bar.
Thank you, President Hawkins. May it please the court. Mr. Chief Justice, members of the court, members of the Florida Bar, distinguished guests, it is a distinct honor to stand before you today to present this award from the Young Lawyers Division of the Florida Bar. As many of you know, the Young Lawyers Division has over 22,000 members. Each year, the Young Lawyers Division asks the circuits, our affiliates throughout the state, to help us identify and nominate people that are worthy of the Young Lawyers Division Pro Bono Award. This year, when we sent out our announcements, we got back about 20 applications, and the committee that was in charge that I had appointed to help screen that and make a recommendation asked for some guidance, and I said, look, it's really hard to pick between these people. It's almost impossible. Everyone's amazing. But what I'm looking for also is a sense of humility and selflessness. Someone who is just doesn't think of themselves and just gives freely. And that's, to me, one of the hearts of pro bono. And as we screened the applications, it just became evident as all the committee members began to recognize the recipient as the person that was deserving of this award. Timothy Moran is a remarkable person, and so I don't think I can do it as well as the application. I just want to read this to you. From May of 2009 until present, Mr. Moran has donated more than 600 hours of pro bono time, assisting more than 150 low-income clients, mostly in foreclosure defense, saving them from losing their homes. In addition, Tim regularly staffs our foreclosure and bankruptcy legal advice clinics and provides advice and pro se assistance to clinic attendees. He is also assisting clients with probate and estate planning matters. He has a love for public interest advocacy. Tim has earned the admiration of community legal service staff and clients who nominated him. What is truly amazing about Timothy is that he was born with cerebral palsy and is confined to a wheelchair. He is unable to write, but utilizes FAMU law students to take notes during client interviews. These students learned valuable client interview skills in addition to providing assistance to Tim. He utilized computer technology, Dragon Naturally Speaking technology, to dictate and complete pleadings for his clients. Timothy has demonstrated his ability to get the job done with no task being too great or too small. His can-do attitude and great sense of humor make him one in a million. Timothy, I just want to say thank you personally from the Young Lawyers Division for exemplifying what we all aspire to do. And if you would, please come up and accept this award from the Young Lawyers Division.
First, I'd just like to thank the court. Thank you all. I'm truly grateful for the award, and I'm honored by it, and thank you all for that. There's a quotation from a man named Stefan Graye that really hits home with me and my practice and my beliefs. I'd like to share it with you because it's one I think that we should all incorporate into our attitudes and our practice about pro bono work, and it is this: I only expect to pass through this world but once. Therefore, any kindness that I may do to any fellow human being, any good deed that I may do, let me not defer or neglect it, for I do not expect to pass this way again. And that's the truth of it. That's the truth of it. We don't pass this way but once. The quotation really hit home with me, as I said before. You do pro bono work because it's the right thing to do. And I know that's hard to remember when, as has been pointed out before, our legal aid agencies are facing a crisis and so many budget cuts, and there's such a growing need for our demands and our services. When I'm faced with that reality, I like to think of a woman whom it was my pleasure to help through Community Legal Services. She had come to me in foreclosure, behind on her payments. She used to own the land. She used to own the land that her house was on, that she'd purchased with her husband, but had been induced, because she was told that her home wasn't livable, to sell her house and sell the equity in her land to someone else. So now we have a woman and they can place a mobile home on the land. So now we have a woman who's paying a mortgage on a mobile home on land she no longer owns. And the mobile home, may I add, was exceedingly poorly built. I was able to, working with Roberto Cruz at Legal Aid, analyze the deed, and through some defects, able to reverse it and get her land back free and clear, which she now owns. I'll never forget the day that we finished and signed the last of the paperwork. In my office, she said, "Mr. Moran, does that mean I can plant my tulips where I want?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am." And that, to me, typifies why we do what we do right there. And now that particular case, I laughingly referred to as the case that wouldn't die. It was 2 years long litigation with multiple complex issues, everything from common law marriage to probate to who knows what else. Not every case has to be that. I also was fortunate enough to assist a couple of weeks ago, an 80-year-old man with a will. He hadn't thought to do one before, and he came to me in search of it, and I gladly complied. With a very small, reasonable effort on my part, I was able to let this man live out his last years in peace, knowing that his final affairs were ordered. A very small act on my part had a great impact on my client. And that, again, takes us back to the thrust of the quotation at the beginning. Thank you all. It's been my pleasure. I'd like to again thank the court and my good friend Lena Smith, who nominated me for this. a wonderful woman to whom I simply just can't say no.
Thank you very much. I now turn to the final award of this year's ceremony. It's my pleasure now to announce this year's recipient of the Florida legal profession's highest public service honor, the Tobias Simon Pro Bono Service Award. This year's award goes to Rosemary E. Armstrong of Tampa, a woman who has worked for the last 25 years to help low-income and other vulnerable clients. In 1988 and again in 2011, she received the Bar President's Service Award, underscoring an enduring commitment to the spirit of pro bono service. I cannot adequately describe Rosemary's extensive service over a quarter century, but it includes working with Bay Area Legal Services Volunteer Lawyers Program on cases ranging from elder law to child dependency cases to domestic violence. In family law cases alone, she has donated more than 400 hours working with indigent clients. It is my pleasure to ask this year's award recipient, Rosemary Armstrong, to approach the bench and receive your award, shake the hands of the justices, and proceed to the podium for remarks.
Chief Justice Kennedy and members of the Supreme Court, the family of Tobias Simon, my family members, distinguished pro bono award winners, and guests. I'm extraordinarily proud to receive the Tobias Simon Pro Bono Service Award. Tobias Simon's distinguished legal career spanned 30 years, and for 30 consecutive years since his death, his accomplishments on behalf of society's underdogs are revisited and celebrated on this occasion. His legacy is a great gift to me and to all pro bono attorneys in Florida. Thank you to Bay Area Legal Services and the Hillsborough Association for Women Lawyers for nominating me, the Award Selection Committee for choosing me, and the members of the Florida Supreme Court for agreeing and presenting this amazing award to me today. Truly, the credit for my years of service must be shared. I would not be here accepting this award if it were not for at least 3 circumstances that have made my work on behalf of the poor something that I love to do. Indeed, something that gives great meaning and purpose to my life. First, there is perhaps the inevitability factor. That's because I see my work as a pro bono attorney and on behalf of legal services as an extension of the problem solving for poor people that began for me as a child. I was brought up in a working poor single parent family. My mother, Lillian Henriquez, was born on the island of St. Martin. English was not her first language, and although bright, her formal education was very limited. My parents divorced when I was a toddler. We were living in El Paso, where my father was in the Army. The child support ordered was minimal and spousal support non-existent. My mother stayed at home with my brother and me for as long as she could, but money was too tight. My mother's favorite expression, however, was, "Where there's a will, there's a way." And undaunted, she devised a plan to improve our prospects. She enlisted the nuns, the aid of the nuns at the parish school my brother attended. She talked them into letting me start kindergarten a year early while she worked in the school office. But life was still too hard for us in Texas, so we moved to Jacksonville to live with my aunt until my mother found a job there. Years of struggle passed, then prayers seemed answered when my mother was married and we moved to Miami, where her new husband was working. Unfortunately, my stepfather had a bad problem he and all our prayers could not fix. He was an alcoholic who became violent when he drank, and he drank often then. My teenage brother tried to protect our mother. The violence spread. My mother and I moved to an apartment, and my brother, with my mother's permission, at 16 went in the Army. The marriage was soon over, and it was years later when I represented victims of domestic violence that I realized my mother left my stepfather not just to protect herself, but also to protect my brother and me. Many victims I served endured unspeakable violence for years, but quickly ended an abusive relationship when their children became entangled in it. Maybe, as F. Scott Fitzgerald reportedly said, rich people are different than you and me, but I know from firsthand experience that poor people are pretty much like everyone else in ways that really count. Most work hard, are good parents, and hope for a better future for their families. If there is a difference, it is that poor people in America are much more vulnerable than their fellow citizens. They are like tightrope walkers without a safety net, vulnerable as they maneuver through life. Any misstep can send them plummeting. Fear and uncertainty are often present. Most of the time, my mother kept fear at bay through her faith and a strength of spirit that mobilized her to act. But missteps did occur and hardships ensued for our small family. Notwithstanding our struggles, my mother always believed strongly in helping others. As her assistant, she kept me busy with all sorts of jobs at home, and as her emissary, sent me on visits to help people in need in our neighborhood. Although we had next to nothing, I saw my mother put her contribution envelope in the collection plate every Sunday and heard it jingle as it fell. I grew up with a sense that fairness and justice were not always meted out equally, even in this great country of ours, and the certain knowledge that I could and should help people not as fortunate as I. I share this belief, I know, with the late Tobias Simon and all the pro bono's attorneys here today. I only wish my mother were alive to know that she has and always will be my inspiration. And if not for her, I would not be standing here today. The second factor that has motivated me to represent the poor for over 25 years is the extraordinary range of meaningful pro bono opportunities provided by Tampa's Bay Area Legal Services and its volunteer lawyer program. And of all the pro bono cases and matters I have handled, it is representing victims of domestic violence, almost always clients with children, that has touched my life in the most profound way. I am privileged not just to be the lawyer obtaining justice for these families, but also to be a hero of sorts to them. I know all the pro bono attorneys here today, especially Mr. Moran, know what I'm talking about. It is the heart and soul of the Florida Bar One campaign that Judge James Barton, an award winner today, preaches to Florida attorneys. We pro bono attorneys receive so much more than we give to our clients because of the great satisfaction we feel in knowing the difference we made in their lives. The legal problems poor people face are often significant enough to adversely affect their futures. When we, for example, save their homes, banish violence from their lives, or effect placement of an abused child in a safe home, we give our clients justice and change the course of their lives for the better. The life of the client, their families, and often our communities as well. Although we are honoring pro bono attorneys today, it bears mentioning that legal services and pro bono attorneys are brothers and sisters in the same family. The family of professionals who believe in fulfilling their oath of office by securing access to justice for the poor citizens in our community. As Judge Ashley Moody, chair of the Circuit Pro Bono Committee on which I serve, describes it, legal services attorneys are the right arm, pro bono attorneys the left arm in this effort. And both arms must be strong to meet the current legal needs of Florida's poor. Unfortunately, as we have heard, legal services providers are suffering unprecedented funding cuts, resulting in the loss of attorneys and staff, at the same time that the economy has caused the need for legal services to increase dramatically. We must support Florida's legal services providers because often they house the most productive pro bono programs in our state, and because they employ career attorneys dedicated to the needs of the poor. Last year, Bay Area Legal Services assisted almost 15,000 poor people in the Tampa Bay area. It sounds like a lot, but the organization received over 60,000 requests for service in 2011. Legal services providers all over the state need to replace lost funding or turn away people in desperate need. We can't let this happen. Please help legal services organizations in your area in any way possible, both directly and through support for the Florida Bar Foundation. Last but not least, the third circumstance that has allowed me to be a pro bono attorney for many years is the support in all ways big and small that I have received from my husband, Sandy Weinberg. Thank you, Sandy. And thank you so much to my 3 children, Stokely, Lily, and Antonio, who are here today. And thank you to the Florida Supreme Court and the Florida Bar for honoring our pro bono attorneys today. Thank you.
That concludes the awards, but we have a special event that we will observe today. At the suggestion of President Hawkins and the Board of Governors, we are going to administer the new oath of attorney that you may be familiar with. Not long ago, this court modified the oath of attorney to recognize integrity and civility as obligations every lawyer assumes as a member of the Florida Bar. The court has determined that all members of the Florida Bar will subscribe to the revised oath. Those of you who are here today, I think it's fair to say the leaders of the Florida Bar, outstanding members of the Florida Bar, are among the first to have the opportunity to take the newly revised oath. So I would now ask that all Florida attorneys in the courtroom stand to take the new oath. You will find a copy of the oath just inside today's program. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Florida. I will maintain the respect due to courts of justice and judicial officers. I will not counsel or maintain any suit or proceedings which shall appear to me to be unjust, nor any defense except such as I believe to be honestly debatable under the law of the land. I will employ for the purpose of maintaining the causes confided in me such means only as are consistent with truth and honor, and will never seek to mislead the judge or jury by any artifice or false statement. of fact or law. I will maintain the confidence and preserve inviolate the secrets of my clients. And will accept no compensation in connection with their business except from them or with their knowledge and approval. To opposing parties and their counsel, I pledge fairness, integrity, and civility. Not only in court, but also in all written and oral communications. I will abstain from all offensive personality. And advance no fact. Prejudicial to the honor. Or reputation of a party or witness. Unless required by the justice. Of the cause. With which I am charged. I will never reject. From any consideration personal to myself. The cause of the defenseless or oppressed. Or delay anyone's cause. For lucre or malice. So help me God. Please be seated. As we are reminded by what we have heard here today and by the oath we have just taken, all of us who are lawyers have a great privilege. It is our special calling to serve the cause of liberty and justice. We are never more true to that calling than we speak for those who would otherwise be left without an advocate. So before we conclude, let us give a last round of applause for all our award winners, women and men who have set an example of outstanding service to the cause of liberty and justice. As we conclude, we invite everyone here who is not an award winner to proceed to the rotunda for a reception celebrating the accomplishments of this year's recipients. And we ask that the recipients remain here in the courtroom for photographs. And of course, you will later join our guests in the rotunda, and we'll be looking forward to joining everyone there as well. So we thank you all for being here. As the Chief Justice, I want to say this is the last time I will preside over the ceremony, but I count the opportunity I had last year to preside over this award ceremony and the opportunity this year to be truly the highlight of my service, the opportunity to serve as Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. So I thank you all, my colleagues, for giving that opportunity. I thank you all so much for the service you render to our profession and to the people of this state. This ceremonial session of the Florida Supreme Court now stands adjourned.
All rise.
You're watching